Hey there, guys. All right, today we are watching a video that popped up on my recommended feed, and it sounded interesting because it's the timeline of the Middle Ages explained in 15 minutes. Roughly 1,000 years of history in 15 minutes. Now, of course, I am personally a proponent of subdividing this time period, right? Because 1,000 years, that's a good chunk of time. Personally, I think we should do from fall of Rome to 10. That's very Anglo focused, but I have a bias because of my personal area of expertise. But fall of Rome to 1066. Personally, though, I do believe that 1066 is a substantial shift in European politics, with essentially England becoming a sub-kingdom of the Kingdom of France, because the Duke of Normandy owes his allegiance to the King of France. Right? That the Duke of Normandy becoming the King of England pretty much determines, really is very important to the next 300 years of European medieval history. Personally, right? I think we should do some divide the Middle Ages up a little bit. Put them in a little bit more chunks. But also, I don't really know what those chunks would be and what they would be called, and also how they could be applied to other parts of the world, because they don't, right? Things don't neatly fall together like that. But anyways, dive in.
From the fall of Rome to the dawn of the Renaissance, the Middle Ages was an era of history that encompassed massive social change. A time of international warfare, national rebellion, devastating disease, and at times brutal cruelty. Here are a few of the highlights, or lowlights depending on your point of view, that occurred over the 1,000-year period. Welcome to Medieval Madness.
Oh, I like that intro. I like this title card, whatever you want to call it. Very nice. Clean.
455, the fall of Rome. After being sacked by Alaric, king of the Visigoths in 410, and then by Genseric, the king of the Vandals, some 45 years later, this was the death knell that tolled the end of the Roman Empire. In 480, the violent murder of Nepos, the last Roman emperor, ushered in what is considered by many to be the beginning of the Middle Ages. Now, with no single state or government to unite the people of Europe, it was the Catholic Church that became the most powerful institution in the Middle Ages. 481, Rise of the Franks. Clovis was the first king of the Franks who was able to unite the Frankish tribes together under one ruler and usher in the Merovingian Age, which ruled over what would eventually become known as France for the next 200 years. Clovis converted to Christianity in 496, and the Franks defeated the Visigoths in the Battle of Vouillers in the spring of 507. 535, the Justinian Code. Justinian I became Eastern Rome.
Alright, okay, I see how we're doing this. I don't think it's necessarily my vibe, but there's really no other way to do a timeline of the Middle Ages, I feel like.
An emperor in 527 and began his restoration of the empire. He published a code of civil law 2 years later that is still the basis of civil law in many countries today, and became known as the Code of Justinian. His reign marked a development in Byzantine culture. 570, Muhammad is born.
Okay.
Muhammad was born in Mecca. He is regarded as the last of the sent prophets, and his revelations from God are recorded in the Quran, the central religious text of Islam and the holy book of the Muslim people. 597, First Archbishop of Canterbury. Augustine, a Christian monk from Rome, was said to be the apostle to the English, and was created archbishop by Pope Gregory the Great. He was sent to England and was successful in converting King Ethelbert of Kent to Christianity. Augustine was a founding figure in the Church of England.
You know what? I'm gonna try and do some guesses as we go along here, as to what the years are. Now, I'm gonna know this one. Think this one has to be the raid on Lindisfarne. If it's not, I'll delete my channel.
793, the era of the Vikings begins.
Yeah.
Raiders sack the church of St. Cuthbert at Lindisfarne off the English coast, said to be the birthplace of Christianity in Britain. The assault sent shockwaves across the whole of Europe. The Viking Age saw 200 years of terror as Scandinavian warriors pillaged and plundered, killing thousands of Europeans, Russians, and Byzantines in their quest to conquer. A group of Vikings settled in northwest France and became known as the Normans.
Surely that won't be important later down the line. What would 800 be, though? It wouldn't be that's not the establishment of the Danelaw, and I don't think 886 is the establishment of the Danelaw either. I think Danelaw is in the 870s. Ooh, what could be 800? Would it be Ecbert becoming King of Wessex? Or Charlemagne?
800, Rise of the Carolingians.
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne was crowned the Emperor of the Romans by the Pope, the first in 300 years. Already having conquered a huge empire in the west, he allied closely with the Catholic Church, consolidating both religious and political power. He has been referred to as the Father of Europe.
886. Obviously, it's tied to Alfred, but I don't know what did he do in 886? Would this be when he declared him? Oh wait. This might be the first time in the written records that I'm aware of, where Alfred is referenced as King of the Angles and Saxons. Which isn't entirely the same thing as King of the Anglo-Saxon, right? There's a small linguistic difference there, as far as I am aware, in my interpretation, but that's my guess.
886, Alfred the Great.
Yeah, what did he do?
Alfred became the first king of a united England after he drove
A bit oversimplified, right? The England that he had control over was pretty much Western Mercia, Wessex, and Kent. Part of Kent. I don't know if he had all of Kent. Maybe some of Essex.
drove the Danes from London.
Oh, 886 is the... Okay. Yeah. Alright.
961, Otto the Great.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one. Nope.
After Charlemagne, it was the ambitious Otto who made his mark as Holy Roman Emperor. He continued to unite the German tribes, asserted control over the church, and strengthened his authority by expanding his powers. Otto was known as a great military commander and conquered the Kingdom of Italy.
Wait, we're going to 1021? Wait, oh wait, okay, I see what we're doing. Yeah, 1000 is just like a... Anyway, 1021. I don't know.
1021.
I'm purposefully not looking at there's like things right there. Right there. The chapter subdivisions or whatever of the video. I'm not looking at those. I'm trying not to cheat.
The first novel. The Japanese epic The Tale of Genji, said to be the...
Oh, I love that he's including medieval Japan. That's good. Oh, I was not expecting this. Right, because obviously when we hear the Middle Ages, I think just because of a lot of where most of us, at least most of my audience anyway, is geographically located, I feel like we don't really, when we hear Middle Ages, we just kind of default think of Europe.
The world's first novel was written by the noblewoman and poet Murasaki Shikibu.
Man, I wonder what happened in 1066. I truly do not know. It's not like I said it earlier in the video.
1066, William the Conqueror. The Duke of Normandy conquered England after he defeated King Harold at the Battle of Hastings, ended Anglo-Saxon rule, and started the Norman lineage. It is seen as the most important event in medieval England as it transformed society and politics, affecting both English culture and the language.
1088. William's death? I don't know. Oh, that could be 1095. I don't know when he died.
1088, the first university.
Oh. Oxford?
The oldest European centre for education was formed in Bologna, Italy by a guild of students and was the first university to employ a woman as a lecturer in 1239. Bettisida Gozzardini first studied at Bologna and then taught there, but was supposedly asked to wear a veil so that she would not distract her students.
1095, 1095, 1095. This be start of the Crusades?
1095, the First Crusade.
Yeah.
The first of 9 major crusades began when Pope Urban asked for support to capture the Holy Land from the Muslims who had captured the portions of the Byzantine Empire, or Eastern Roman Empire. The First Crusade ended in victory for the Europeans, but triggered more fighting which continued off and on until the end of the 15th century. Thousands of Muslims and Christians were killed in the religious wars to conquer Jerusalem and the surrounding areas.
1119. Ooh. Second Crusade? I don't know.
1119, the Knights Templar.
Oh. Okay.
The military order of the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon was formed to protect Christian pilgrims when visiting the Holy Land. Known for their distinctive white mantles with a red cross, they quickly rose to power, becoming wealthy by establishing an early form of banking. They were brought down in 1312 by King Philip IV of France, and many members were accused of heresy and executed.
1206. No. I don't know.
1206, the Mongols.
Oh.
Genghis Khan was elected as ruler of the Mongols and their empire was established. The Mongols would go on to conquer much of Eurasia during the 13th and 14th centuries, becoming the largest empire in history.
1215. Also don't know. We're getting really into the timeline parts where I really don't know the years and what happened in them. Like this is we're solidly in the territory of I know roughly the events here. Cannot pin them down by within the decade of when they happened.
1215, Magna Carta.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
King John of England was forced to sign the Great Charter at Runnymede by a group of rebel barons stating that he was not above the law. The document granted greater power to the nobility and laid the foundations for democracy.
1271.
1271,
Yeah,
Marco
I think I'm going
Polo.
to stop guessing now because I have no idea.
At the age of 17, the Italian explorer set off on his journey to Asia. He spent 24 years exploring before returning to Venice and publishing a book about his travels, in which he documented his adventures in countries such as India, Persia, Japan, and China. 1273, the House of Habsburg. Count Rudolf I was the first king of Germany from the Habsburg dynasty to be made Holy Roman Emperor. The family went on to become one of the most important in Europe, producing kings of Croatia, Spain, Portugal, and Hungary, among others. The family's desperation to consolidate their power led to inbreeding, which produced physical impairments and facial deformities, including the Habsburg jaw, nose, and lip. 1296, Scottish Wars. Edward I of England invaded Scotland and the First Scottish War of Independence began, resulting in the Battle of Stirling Bridge a year later. William Wallace became one of the leaders of the resistance and was appointed Guardian of Scotland. He was later captured, hanged, drawn and quartered in London in 1305. Robert the Bruce was crowned King of the Scots in 1306, and the First War ended in victory for the Scottish after the Battle of Bannockburn with a treaty and recognised independence.
Rah, Scotland.
1299, the Ottoman Empire. The Turk Osman I founded the Ottoman Emirate, which became the most enduring Islamic empire, lasting for over 600 years. 1337, the Hundred Years' War. Lasting over 116 years, the on-off hostilities between England and France began as each struggled in their domination over the other. The war resulted in some 62 major battles and sieges, including the battles of Crécy and Agincourt and the sieges of Calais and Orléans. It eventually ended in 1453, with England losing control of all her French dominions except for the port of Calais in the north. 1347, the Black Death.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna guess it like a
bubonic
battle
plague
name.
arrived in Europe for the first time and wiped out an estimated 20 to 40% of the population in the first year. The disease spread at an alarming rate, especially in highly populated areas. Over 4 years, it killed some 35 million people, making it one of the worst human disasters in history.
No clue what
1368, the Great Ming.
Okay. Again, I like that we are getting bits and pieces here of medieval history outside of Europe. Now, of course, I think this is going to be pretty much just Asia and Europe. I don't think we're going to get any medieval African history because there's just not too much known, or at least, and maybe we don't have the exact time frame of some important medieval African events.
The start of the Ming dynasty in China was when a group of rebels overthrew the ruling Mongols. Ming was to be the last native-born ruling house in the country and ruled for around 280 years. 1380, the Canterbury Tales.
Oh, I read those. The book, it was okay.
Geoffrey Chaucer started work on his manuscript about a group of storytelling pilgrims. The Canterbury Tales became a
concept very neat. His prose, like at least what the translation that I read, right? I think good. Just not my cup of tea.
foundation for the formation of the modern English language. 1415, the Battle of Agincourt.
Okay, he did include it.
At a turning point in the Hundred Years' War, the far superior French army suffered a catastrophic defeat at the hands of the warrior King Henry V of England and his small army. This resulted in Henry being declared heir to the French throne. 1428, Rise of the Aztecs.
Oh shit, we're actually going to the medieval Americas? Damn, alright, nice. Was not expecting that one.
The fourth Mexican king, Itzcoatl, began his expansion of an empire that lasted for 90 years. Highly intellectual, both socially and artistically, the Aztecs had a caste system similar to the feudal system in Europe, with nobles at the top and serfs at the bottom. The Aztec Empire fell to the Spaniards in the early 16th century. 1431, Death of Joan of Arc.
Okay.
The teenager who was instrumental in the 100 Years' War in favour of the French was tried as a witch and executed by being burned at the stake. Joan had help in lifting the siege of Orléans, which made it possible for the French King Charles VII to be crowned. 1434, Rise of the Medici. In the 15th century, Florence was one of the most prosperous trading centres in Europe. The House of the Medici rose as a political power, producing 4 Catholic popes and 2 queens. The Medici Bank, formed in 1397, was one of the most respected and wealthy institutions in Europe. Originally part
For a brief period of time, right? It kind of fell apart pretty, like, in the grand scheme of history, I feel like it fell apart pretty quickly, right? It was it kind of was just oh, I'm forgetting the names of the Medici's, but pretty much the one who really brought the bank into prominence. It really was only good throughout his reign, and then his son kind of botched it, and then his grandson, I think Lorenzo, no, son was Lorenzo, and then his grandson was someone else, or was it the other way around? Son was someone else, and grandson was Lorenzo. I'm trying to remember the TV show, the Netflix series, which right, not historically accurate, but it was still very entertaining, and I think it encouraged people to look up the real history. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, I don't think the Medici Bank really lasted that long.
Part of the prospering merchant class, the family were great patrons of the arts and science, funded the development of opera and the piano, and sponsored luminaries such as Da Vinci and Michelangelo. 1439, the printing press.
Oh, that's right.
The German craftsman Johannes Gutenberg invented a movable type printing press. His Bible was the earliest major book printed in Europe and had a direct influence on the development of the Renaissance. Gutenberg has been described as one of the most influential figures in human history.
1441. I don't know.
1441, slavery.
Oh.
Prince Henry, the son of King John I of Portugal, became known as the Navigator as he was the main instigator of the Age of Discovery and a patron of maritime exploration. He was presented with slaves brought back from Africa. This was the beginning of the African slave trade. Lagos, in what is now the Portuguese Algarve, was the first point of entry for slaves into Europe.
Man, I wonder what happened in 1453. Fall of Constantinople.
1453, the fall of Constantinople.
Oh, sadness.
The city was captured after a 53-day siege, which saw the 21-year-old Sultan Mehmet the Conqueror make
He was 21? Jesus Christ. I'm 26. What have I done with my life?
Constantinople
Not conquer Constantinople, that's for sure.
the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. This marked the end of the Byzantine Empire, and many historians consider this the end of the medieval period. 1450.
But we're not for this in the scope of the video. But what happened in 1455? I don't know.
55 Wars of the Roses.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. You know, that's a good one to.
Known
yeah.
at the time as the Civil
That
Wars,
counts
they were
as-
fought
I'd put
over
that in the medieval
32
era, too.
years as two branches from the royal house of Plantagenet, York and Lancaster, vied for control of the English throne. The Battle of St. Albans is thought to mark the beginning of the hostilities when Richard of York captured King Henry VI.
1492. That's when Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
1492, the unification of Spain.
Oh.
Two of Spain's
Never
most
mind.
powerful monarchs, Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella of Castile, expelled all of the Jews from Spain. By waging a military campaign against the Moors, they also drove out all of the Muslims and united the country to become known as the Catholic monarchs. In that same year, the couple sponsored an Italian explorer named
Aha.
Christopher Columbus, who left on a naval expedition to search for a western route to China. He made landfall on an island in the Bahamas in October of 1492. Thank you for watching this episode.
And that was the timeline of the Middle Ages explained in 15 minutes. This was really good. I think, honestly, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any other sort of events that were missing from this video that I feel should be included. Actually, no, I do. Would have liked to see some of the more of the Islamic Golden Age. I think that was lacking here. I think we could have seen some of that in the 700s, 800s. Perhaps not doing when Muhammad was born, but instead doing when Muhammad conquered Mecca or something like that, or his battle at Medina. I can't remember. I'm really rusty on my early Islamic history, so. But I think that's really the big one that I think was missing here. Ooh, and perhaps when the French fought a Muslim army in the south of France at the border, modern day border with Spain and France, around that area. I can't remember what the battle was called, but that's also a pretty, I think, important one to have. I think the Siege of Vienna happens a bit after 1500. I think I can't remember exactly when Siege of Vienna is, or is that in the 1400s? I can't remember. But I think we got pretty much the majority of ones. I can't really think of anything else that I think was perhaps missing. But this was a good video. Like, yeah, it was good. And I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.